You're such a super lady.
Welcome to the Star Wars Collector's Archive podcast. It's the Kivecast. Brought to you by Sky Payne, Fudd, and Stephen B. Danley. This month, Klaatu receives the dubious and unfortunate honor of being the figure covered during the last episode with Sky's broken microphone. It's okay, we'll get him with the Klaatu skiff in about a year or so. We talk about the history of his original name, Wooof, and propose an alternative future for the figure, should he have maintained this moniker. We interview our Instantgram Grammy Daddy, Anthony Spinnicke, as our new contributor and Space Freak of the Week, like Raphael Shadiq. We discuss the Nugget from the archive, a hard copy, which leads to a discussion of internal Kenner memos and a height of figures. Finally, the unloved item is the much-loved Sigma figure, which it turns out turns Klaatu into a sympathetic male stripper. All this and less.
Wampa Wampa.
Welcome to Kivecast number 86. Steve, we just did something for the first time in the history of the Kivecast. You said Wampa Wampa, and I said the next bit.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Space Freaks. We've been joking about episode 84 being jinxed, about there being a black cloud over 84. It's been sort of a thing we've kind of laughed about, but it is literally no joke, okay? This is what happened. A couple months ago, I had my Emperor cup, the cup that I always record with, you know, Return of the Jedi Burger Chef cup, Burger King cup.
Yep.
And I broke it doing the dishes. And ever since then, episode 84 has been cursed. Now, when I say cursed, you might think that I'm joking, right? But, like, it really wasn't. Like, we kept on trying to record it, and it would, like, the Skype would fail. We tried to record it, and at Steve's house, his internet would go out.
Yeah.
We recorded something with Anthony, who's our Instantgram account manager, and then we couldn't record the rest of the episode because Steve's internet fell out. And then we decided that we'd organize something and record something about Facebook collecting with Mathieu Barthélemy and Matthias Rundal. And it took us weeks to organize something. And when we thought we could record something, one of us would have a family emergency. It just totally felt cursed. But we finally recorded the whole thing, Steve. And I was getting ready to edit episode 84. And I was getting all excited to put it out. Finally, the Chief Sherpa episode would be out. And my computer completely crashes.
That was a dark moment there.
And this was the thing, okay? My computer crashed, and I thought, oh, how bad can it be? And I sent it to my IT department. They said, we can't get anything. They said, send it off to this place in Wisconsin. Send it off to this place in Wisconsin. It might cost you $6,000, but they should be able to save it. I go, that's a lot of money, but I don't know. I'll sell some proof cards. We'll see. They can't even restore it for $6,000. What was on there? Well, 7 years of lesson prep, all the research I've done this summer, pictures of my babies and stuff like that. But episode 84 was on there.
Yeah.
And I'm now semi-certain that it was 84 that actually poisoned my computer and ended my computer. So you may have heard me say 86, and the last episode you saw was 83. We are pulling a full Kenner.
Yeah,
okay.
This is exactly right.
On the back of the 65 card back, Wicket and Logray are blacked out. Steve, it wasn't because they were trying to keep them a secret.
No.
Because they were trying to keep them hidden.
Yes.
They knew that Sherpa and Logray were bad juju.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the box with the Ark of the Covenant, like getting all burnt and getting after that rat. Like this is what's happening here.
Yeah, so we are going to get back to Sherpa, going to get back to Logray at some other point. But for now, we're going to do something completely unexpected. I want to get things back on track. I want to get them I want to get this episode. So it's already a weird episode because we skipped 2. We skipped 84, 85, and we're on 86.
Yes.
So we always record the show on my computer. And right now, Steve is recording it on his, and we are in the upside down. This is, I just watched Apocalypse Now recently. We left the boat, and Lance is the captain, and that's you, Steve. You do surf too, don't you?
I used to.
The figure of the month. the figure of the month is, by the way, Klaatu,
Yes.
who I dislike. And we'll probably, by the end of the episode, find some way to like through some kind of Steve magic.
Klaatu. Not Klaatu Skiff, but just plain old Klaatu.
Yes, we skipped over wonderful and interesting Ewoks to get to what is, I would say, undeniably bottom of all Star Wars figures of all time.
Yeah, it's it's funny. Like I was gonna bring this up later, but I figured I might as well just bring it up now. I feel like Klaatu might be like the most common first carded figure that a collector picks up. I know it was one of mine when I first got started. I don't know about you, but I feel like that's like the gateway carded figure is Klaatu.
Right. You can get them. I mean, I think Steve sent me the notes, and it had the market watch, and it was just like nothing is worth anything. Like I don't think you could spend more than $200 on a Klaatu item unless you really tried hard.
It would be very, very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we love him nonetheless, right?
No, not me. I don't love him.
Oh, okay.
But here is some of my thoughts about Klaatu. And actually, I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to start with my Skye-Ku. Oh no, Steve, the woodwind flute. That's the thing. All my drops are missing too.
I'm gonna figure out something. I'm gonna figure out some janky way. This is gonna be a janky episode. I'm just gonna make sure that is well known. But I'm gonna try and figure it out.
But yeah, so I might have some of the old sound drops on my old computer.
Okay.
But in the event that you've come to really love all the great sound drops that I made, they are mostly gone because of the broken Emperor cup that put the hex on me. And if any of you are like familiar with the black arts or anything, just let me know. I'd love to know how to break this hex.
Yeah, we need a consultation here.
I mean, do you want to know how bad it got, Steve? Like, I mean, I had to send my computer away to Wisconsin. I told them I would pay them $6,000 to get it back. You know, like the highest end of the highest thing, and they couldn't even do it for that much. Man. And then I was feeling so sad, and then I was in bed, and I lied down, and I put my hand down, and there was a dead bee in my bed, and it stung me on my finger.
Jeez, this is getting like some serious Omen, like Damien stuff going on here.
I know. I'm telling you, there's something kooky going on.
It's that Chirpa's iguana. If you see an iguana like in your backyard, then you need to just run.
Oh yeah, boy, we talked all about that. Was another thing that was lost, was we named Chirpa's iguana. Oh man. See, people who are listening to this, Steve, didn't even know that Chirpa had an iguana.
No. Okay, we gotta stop. We have.
Onto the Klaatu Skye-Ku.
All right.
Or the Klaatu. Green face, beady eyes, moldy thug in a tan skirt. Woof, the dog-faced boy.
Nicely done. There's a lot of things at work there.
Yeah. Well, the main thing that I wanted to end it with was Woof.
Yeah.
And I think we need to talk about Woof.
We do. Yeah.
And that's something that we were going to put towards the middle or towards the end with the usual features and stuff. But I want to put it up front. So what is the story of Woof, Steve?
All right. So Woof was apparently the production moniker for the character that is the figure of Klaatu. And as far as where that really came along, I'm not exactly sure, but it eventually made its way into the development of the toy, and then somehow like retroactively like became canon in some weird way. I don't really care about that. I just think it's interesting that it started as this kind of nickname, and to kind of differentiate him, because apparently, you know, there are multiple Klaatus out there, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, so his name appeared as Woof, Woof, and I guess early on in the production, and that manifested itself in the figures production, which is just kind of funny.
Right. There's several early stages. There was the famous catalog, French catalog that included Luke in Jedi robes.
Right.
And that has Klaatu as Woof.
Right.
And I want to talk about this because we talk a lot about mistakes that Kenner made.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of Kenner's great mistakes. So I understand that naming it Klaatu and then having Nikto and Barada is a really great wink of the eye to the day the earth stood still. So that's what the big alien said to the people was Klaatu, Nikto, Barada.
Right.
This is thinking about adults. This is thinking about adult nerds.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the first time I can think of where Lucasfilm is like, oh, let's do something clever. And the adults will be like, oh, I know that reference. They completely missed the mark, Steve.
Yeah.
Because if Klaatu was named Wooof, Klaatu would be a loved figure. That's my controversial point of the month.
All right. Okay.
So let me tell you why Wooof would have been more successful. He would have been the dog lover's figure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if his name was Wooof, if you look at his face, you just see this green face and these beady eyes. You don't think of a dog.
Right.
But if you call him Wooof, all of a sudden he takes on sort of a terrier aspect.
Yeah.
So that green that makes him look so lizardy, you call him Klaatu, and all of a sudden I start thinking of him like a Gorn from Land of the Lost or whatever. If you Wooof, you wouldn't think of him as a lizard person. You think of him as a dog person. And that's why I think he was named Wooof in the first place by the people on set. And there's something about him that when you call him Wooof, the figure itself seriously, do this right now. If you're at home, if you look at the figure and you call him Wooof, you start to like him more. In particular, if you go to one of my favorite Klaatu-related items, which is, Steve, you weren't ready for this.
No.
The Jedi lunchbox.
Oh, yeah.
Return of the Jedi lunchbox has a great image of Luke, and he's got his gun, and he's in Jabba's palace, and of course Klaatu is a part of, he's one of the goons for Jabba, and he's sitting there, and you realize he's a wolf man. If you look at Klaatu in that picture on the lunchbox, he has kind of a wolfman face. And so the Woof is like he's a dog, but also kind of like a wolf.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and I think that's why he has the fuzzy skirt as well. Like, I think there's supposed to be something doggish.
Yeah.
And people love dogs, and they think, that's part of the reason Chewbacca's so popular. It's part of the reason why stupid, cursed Ewoks. So anyway, that's my kind of bizarre theory, that if he was named Woof, he would have a following.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's funny you brought up the Wolfman thing. I'm pretty sure there's a publicity photo of him with a very kind of Universal Monsters Wolfman pose with his hands, and I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, so that's my opinion. If they'd stuck with it, he would be a beloved character. There would be 2 or 3 people who focus on him at least, because he'd be like, it's kind of like Yak Face. I mean, Yak Face is such a great name. That's part of the reason he's so popular. If his name was just like, Flizzbot, you'd be like, okay, well, Flizzbot's cool.
Yeah.
But his name was something kind of boring like Klaatu.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I realized, too, speaking of Star Trek, is Klaatu also looks like that stupid midget alien that Unkar Plutt put into the new Star Trek movies to be friends with Scotty.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's some kind of intentional thing there. So
yeah,
I forget that guy's name. He's a comedian guy.
Right. He's Unkar Plutt.
Yes, he's Unkar Plutt. Simon Pegg. There you go.
Yeah.
Two thoughts, Steve. Do you have Klaatu thoughts?
No, I mean, I think you kind of brought up the reference to, the day the Earth stood still, but I guess the one kind of funny side note I had was I remember I was at a flea market here in LA, and I came across a record from the Canadian band Klaatu, and I just couldn't help but associate that with these aliens from Return of the Jedi, and there's kind of like 3 distinct Klaatu characters that were merchandise related, and I always just kind of pictured them as like the 3 members of that band. But
that's pretty cool.
I don't know. It's just I think if you actually paired the voices in those green faces, it wouldn't quite work. But I can't separate the two. That just shows how much of a Star Wars problem I have.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun thing. I don't think I could actually tell you which one is Klaatu, which one is Nikto, and which one is Barada. I might be able to, but boy, I don't know if I mean, because I just sort of throw all those kind of lame Java guys kind of all together.
They're not lame. Come on.
Really? Do you like them?
I do, but it's I think just because of the attachment to those figures, they were kind of just what I had the most of, and I don't know, but I can see why the general Star Wars population might find them pretty lame if you didn't really have an attachment to them. But they are, they're not. The figures are great, but the characters themselves, I don't know.
Yeah, I did some research and trying to figure out about people who collect these figures.
Yeah.
I found an old Rebel Scum picture. I sent it to you, Steve.
Yeah. So who was that?
I forget his name. Some guy in Rebel Scum, but it was I think the most complete Klaatu collection you could have.
Yeah.
I just looked at it and was just sort of like, huh, like it was cool, but with no power of the Force. I mean, I think there was a 2-pack, and then I got really excited because he has a Colgate, and I thought, oh, that's so cool, but that was a custom.
Okay.
So
Wow.
we've been too negative, Steve. You have some not we, just me. I've been too negative. Help me love Wooof. Steve.
All right.
Tell me some things I don't know. You sent me something. You sent me show notes, and I try not to read them. So that way I'll be more interested in what you're going to say.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. You said something about Lily.
Yeah.
She's such a Lily lady.
You're such a super lady. You're such a super lady.
You're such a Lily lady.
You're such a super lady.
You're such a Lily lady.
So you tell me, what is there about Lily Lady to know?
Well, the one distinguishing factor is the card back is quite a bit different in the sense that it's kind of zoomed out a bit. So in the regular Kenner card back, you got a somewhat close up on the character, but for the Ledy version, it kind of pulls back and you see more of his full body, and it's really, really heavily airbrushed. So it's got this crazy look to it that it almost makes it look like something you'd see painted on the side of a van or something. It's got that kind of spray paint airbrush over the top look to it. I just thought it looked really, really cool, actually.
Yeah, the colors are really vibrant. That's one thing about the American card back. And I have this problem with a lot of the Jabba figures. The colors are so muted. It's so blue and atmospheric.
Right.
Almost like gauze over it. And here you get the sense that the Mexican artists were just like, let's make that brown yellow. Let's make that tan bright tan. And let's take the boring helmet and make it super white.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
He looks even more lizard-like.
Yeah.
But he also looks more dog-like. I don't know. This is great. This is a really good card back.
It kind of has the classic monster poster feel in a way. Like if you just put some crazy font around this and some woman about to be eaten instead of the figure, it would work as a movie poster.
This is a call to our Photoshop friends. Make that movie poster.
Yeah, I just thought that was I hadn't really noticed how different this particular card image was for the Mexican version. So that's one little extra thought, I guess.
I think I might be coming around on Klaatu. Because thinking of him as a universal monster, I like a wolf man, does make him a lot more exciting. As opposed to thinking of him as just another henchman who's going to get thrown into the drink.
Right.
It makes him a little bit more exciting. And just seeing this poster, and then also, Steve, let's do a quick question. Let's ask our audience this. If you like this, put it in the comments of our YouTube channel page. And how many Star Wars figures have bandoliers? I can think of 3.
3. See,
No, 4.
Oh man! All right, you're ahead of me right now. Let's see. Does the Jawa have a bandolier?
No, Steve. Jawa has 2 bandoliers. What's wrong with you? Oh my God, I can't believe I know something Star Wars you don't. Yes, the Jawa has 2 bandoliers.
All right,
That's how
all right.
hardcore Jawas are.
And then you got Chewie, obviously, and this guy, but who's the 4th?
I believe IG-88 has a bandolier.
Ah, yeah.
At least the 12-inch figure does. I don't
Right.
know if the 3 3/4 does.
That's a good question. Okay.
But yes, that's another plus in the plus column for Klaatu, a figure who has no gun but a bandolier strap.
Yes.
He's got that weird vibro axe thing, which they really got into the idea of.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around on Klaatu. And then you also sent me something about bootlegs and UZAYs.
Yeah, so I found it interesting that Klaatu was one of the figures on the back of the UZAY card back. He wasn't released, but he was pictured on the back. And we've mentioned this before, but when they would do the names for the UZAY figures, they would usually just get rid of a couple letters here and there to try and get as close to the original as possible without raising any red flags. So for him, it's just spelled KL space ATU, which I don't know, I just found that funny. It's like the most...
Yeah.
It's dropped one A, and that's enough.
Yeah. But Atu.
There you go.
It's the Space Freak of the Week, a semi-monthly peek into our collectors whose collections are unique. And they're also our fans, and that's on fleek. So why not try to kiss my cheek? Or later, maybe we could neek.
As we are trying to do now, Steve, we are also reaching out to people who have not been on the show 1,000 times, reaching out to people who are, people who listen and people who want to contribute to the show. So we are going to lock it into the 21st century with the person who's going to be running our Instantgram account.
Yes.
And wait a minute, Steve. My Instantgram account was hacked by the Russians. I think we discussed this a while ago. It was literally Russians, okay?
Yeah.
It was all these pictures of women in bikinis and with Russian written underneath it.
Right, yeah.
What if they got into my account and crashed my computer?
Oh man, this is getting crazy here.
I think it is. Steve, have you met with any Russian ambassadors recently?
No.
Okay, what if I asked you again? Steve, have you met with any Russian ambassadors?
No.
Just for free. Okay. Well, anyway, so we're going to talk to somebody whose Instantgram account has not been hacked yet. We've had an Instantgram account, but of course I can't check it because I don't have an Instantgram account because I've been taken over by the Russians.
Yeah. No, this is starting to get really, really disconcerting, Skye. There are too many dark forces at work here.
There really are, Steve. I'm trying to figure out what am I doing wrong in my life. I feel like I'm a good person. It's like I treat people well. I know I'm a good dad, and I'm a fairly good dog owner. I don't know. I don't know what
it's
is.
all right. We're just gonna keep plugging along.
Let's give a call to Anthony, our new Instantgram person.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. A little bit behind the curtain how the Kivecast works. You record an interview with us. About a month later, the interview gets lost, and then 2 weeks later than that, we interview you again. So, yeah, 6 weeks is
Yeah, so it's been going great. I mean, I've been having a ton of fun. I mean, as I emailed you guys, it's fun to do, and it's so educational. Like I end up learning so much just doing it. So it's been a total pleasure.
Well, as we've discussed, my Instantgram account was hacked by Russians, so I'm not able to look into it. Steve, do you have an Instantgram account?
I do, and I gotta say, Anthony's been awesome at he's been going back to the back catalog and pulling out visual references from all these old episodes, and it seems like it's really getting a lot of traction. So, and it takes a lot of time and effort to do it. So seriously, man, it's been awesome.
Where it's actually kind of easy. Like, I just think of, I'll either go back and listen to old episodes, or, I'll think of something that I've heard in the past. And it's, it's basically, it's great because I can then go to the archive website and, think of something you guys talked about, read about it, and then post it. So it's been an awesome, process so far. So.
Well, yeah, it's great. I'm glad to hear that it's going well. I was really afraid that Steve did not ever look, or that, so I'm glad to know that it's going well. Again, I've been hacked by Russians, so there's nothing I can do. I suppose I could start another account, but at this point, anything affiliated with computers scares me. I'm like, seriously, I've gotten all this paper and I'm like writing with pens and stuff. It's really weird. But yeah, so I think it's a really fun idea. So if people want to sort of think about the Kivecast and have reasons to go back and listen to old episodes, like what's an example of something that you posted recently?
Yeah, so just today we did. So what's great is on Instagram, much like the Facebook groups, they have like an Instagram Star Wars figure of the week, for example. So this week happens to be Darth Vader. There's another Instagram guy who's pretty well followed. So he's got like tens of thousands of followers. So he picks a character, and this is the character of the week, and people post stuff about it. So this week happens to be Vader. So I was like, that your episode with Bill McBride was awesome. So basically, I posted something about like the mushroom tip prototype, a couple pictures, just a little explanation of what it was as kind of a teaser, and then just say, listen, you want to hear all about this and Bill's collection, check out episode whatever it was, So that's basically what I've been trying to do, just kind of like a little mini nugget, to borrow from your guys' terms, and just to like kind of spark interest and kind of just guide them to that particular episode. And what's great is, as you guys always refer to it, it's kind of like a audio magazine. So it's not like it's ever out of date. You're interested in a certain item or certain, topic, it's there. So you can just go back.
Scrolling through the feed, and like you really are, you're getting at, some really, really, old content in terms of like the way we think about it. Like I'm like, oh yeah, we did talk about that like 7 years ago, and it's really fun just from a selfish standpoint to kind of, it's been great to look back and see all this crazy stuff that we've talked about that I've already forgotten. But no, it's
like what's a mushroom
example? I had I happen to have this. I have like a carded run, and one of the figures I had is a Bosk, and it's one of the few that is not on a Kenner card. It's a foreign card, and I remember listening to it, and I acquired this, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, is this one of the Toy Tony like potential figures? And I started reading about it. I looked it up on the archive, and I'm like, dang it, it probably is. So I actually sent it off to see if it's going to come back as real or, Toy Tony. And I was like, that was an awesome episode. So I had to go find it, and it was great. So as a collector, these things come up, and you're like, you know what, those guys, they talked about it. It's an interesting thing. Let me go find out what episode that was in and post something about it.
Well, yeah. So the next thing we're going to do, and we're going to try to do this with you're not quite a space freak, but like you are a space freak, but you're not quite the space freak of the week. You are technically the space freak of the week because we're not going to record anybody else, but you are becoming a part of the show. But we're still going to do the thing where we ask you the lightning round. But what we're going to do is we're going to ask the lightning round in a way that allows for sort of broader conversation about your collecting habits and who you are as a collector, right? That sounds like a good idea, right, Steve?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Do it.
Okay.
Hey,
okay. So then, question.
What I thought was awesome is, I got to tell you, I found the Kivecast very serendipitously. I didn't really know what a podcast was. I always thought like a podcast was like, if you miss like, some show on ESPN radio, you can go back and listen to it. I didn't realize that there were these specific types of shows. Someone told me, hey, there's Star Wars podcast. I know you're a collector. And I just searched for like vintage shows, vintage Star Wars shows, and I came upon a show called Vintage Rebellion, I think it's called. They're a bunch of British guys. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. And I go on, and it happens to be the episode that Steve is on. He's talking about his B-Wing collection. And you describe what you do. You do like one figure a month, and I was like, Steve guy seems really nice, and they do a figure a month. It's something that'll help you learn. So that's how I found the show. It was like very random. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Oh,
I don't
sweet irony. That's awesome.
Rebellion.
Well, it's funny because the Vintage Rebellion, and we have a friendly rivalry at this point. It hasn't always been friendly, but it's been mostly friendly. Steve, I owe them an email. I'm supposed to appear on their show too, but I keep forgetting to respond.
You better do that.
I better, because that's how we got Anthony. Who knows what'll happen next time? Although if they talking on another show, they're not going to be like, "Oh, gee, we should listen to that show." Steve, you're
well. That was
you're the better.
That was the first and only episode I ever listened to that show. I was like, yeah. So
no, it's we support it and we tell people to listen to it, but especially the one where Steve's on. Although Steve, I actually haven't listened to it yet, but I can't psychologically. I'm a jealous man, Steve, and I can't psychologically get over the fact of you being on a different vintage Star Wars. Now I can listen to your podcast because that's your thing, but I don't know. I get silly like that. Awesome. So let's find out a little bit more about our Grammy Daddy, Instant Anthony, by doing a sort of extended lightning round where we ask him more questions about his collection. So I think we can.
So be it. Ain't having it.
If your house were burning, and I don't know where your house is, Anthony. Where do you live?
I live in New Jersey.
And you can only grab one item from your collection. What is it?
Yeah, so I think as I probably said the last time we talked, I collect mostly actually all production figures. I don't really have any vintage prototypes. I do have some modern, like Power of the Force 2 prototypes, but nothing that's like one of a kind. So if I had to grab anything, it would be my two cases, like my childhood collector cases with my childhood figures in them. I figure my wife will take care of the two kids. I'll have two arms. I can grab the two cases.
Okay. So
I have.
I think we'll let them have two. Is it one 3PO and one Vader?
Exactly. Yeah, I got a 3PO and a Vader, and it's funny. I have I've got a complete loose collection on display of it and stuff that I've gotten, collecting later. My childhood stuff I've left in the case. I'm waiting until my sons, they're a little older and appreciate it, and I have something special in store to do with them, with those figures. But right now they're in the basement, in a cool spot, out of light, in the case. I know exactly where they are. I can run down here and get them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony, what is your favorite bad line from a Star Wars movie?
All right. So I've actually changed since the last time we talked. I mean, even though I still hate Around the Survivors a Perimeter Create. I recently rewatched Attack of the Clones. My son wanted to watch it, and we're watching it, and I have a new favorite bad line, and it's from the same movie. So it's when Anakin and Obi-Wan, I guess they chase that shapeshifter, male/female, into that club, and there's the guy trying to sell Obi-Wan, he's like, so you want to buy some death sticks? I hate that line. I'm like,
okay.
I'm like,
just
why?
that line,
I'm like,
you want to buy some death sticks?
I mean, because I think that kind of like it's a microcosm for what was, in my opinion, wrong with the prequels. Like the prequels, other than being over CGI'd, there's a lot of like real world, like modern day Earth stuff in the prequel that shouldn't exist, in my opinion, at least in the Star Wars universe. Like like diners and libraries and librarians and waitresses and death sticks. I mean, since when are there cigarettes in the Star Wars universe? So I was like, this sucks. That really should. I mean, the Jedi mind trick is kind of funny at that point, but does there really need to be a guy selling cigarettes in a club where there's like Obviously, George playing football on a screen in a bar. I mean, come on. So that's my new answer.
I gotta say, I spend way more of my life than I'd like to admit defending the prequels, but I've never heard anyone make that particular attack on them. And what I like about it is that it is completely indestructible as an attack. Like, you're completely right. There's no, like, you're right. Librarians, perhaps, why does there have to be waitresses in Star Wars? It's an interesting idea.
I mean, if you listen, they're playing like 1950s like boogie music in the background in this diner. It's like Back to the Future, basically. And but listen, I'm on the same page. I do like the prequels. I'm not a prequel hater. I think that they're definitely important. They explain the backstory. I just obviously prefer the original trilogy, but I'm 41, so that's what I grew up with.
What is your grail as a collector?
Yeah, so it's funny. When we talked last time, I said, because I don't do pre-production, I thought that I wanted to get something. One of my focuses, per se, is carded production Ben Kenobi figures. And so I started a run. Like, I have two sons. One is named Benjamin. So I'm trying to do a run of carded domestic and foreign, Kenner and foreign. And my other one is loose original Luke figures. I'm trying to amass as many different variations of loose Lukes, including bootlegs. So the Ben Kenobis, I guess for me would be one of the rarer, production items. So it would probably possibly be a double telescoping Kenobi on card. I know there's definitely a veil. A Grail is, if you think about it, Holy Grail. It's like there's like one in the world, and hopefully you'll probably never find it. So that's a very obtainable goal. I see it all the time. I mean, it costs an arm and a leg, but it is possible. So probably that. But honestly,
well, the thing about Grails is sometimes they have to be unattainable, but I also don't think they always have to be. So I like that it's, it's something where I think for everybody it's different. Some people say they want a Grail and it's something where they know where it is and the person who owns it will never sell it, and that's that. And other times it's just something that people can get. So so good. So if you appreciate the kind,
No, I was going to say, honestly, like if I'm thinking about the one thing that's one of a kind that I'm missing and I want to find, it's kind of corny, but it's my childhood biker scout and speeder bike. That was definitely my favorite toy as a child, and it's not in my childhood collection. When I went to my parents' house, 4 or 5 years ago and got my stuff, it wasn't there. And I think it's because it was my favorite toy, and when I put Star Wars away and started doing like G.I. Joe and Transformer, I just brought those things and put them with that. So that's up in my parents' attic somewhere, and one day I'll do my Indiana Jones impression, go up there and find them. So that's a one of a kind per se, corny Grail, but that's something I would really love to just find and have.
Well, the good news is, Anthony, is, you and I are about the same age, and Steve is about 27 years younger than us. But the funny thing that we've realized since we've gotten into Return of the Jedi figures is that our stance on nostalgia has completely changed. Mm-hmm. So because I was born in 1977, Return of the Jedi is the movie I'm most nostalgic for. So when you talk about loving your childhood biker scout, like, I totally relate to that, and I love that idea. That it was such a loved figure that it made the cut, and because it made the cut, you don't know where it is. Like the
who's hanging out with like Snake Eyes,
right. And when my son was, 5, I got a whole bunch of clone troopers for him, and then I found my childhood figures, and I introduced the stormtroopers in there as well, and I named them all, and then I wrote in the bottom of their boots, PTC, which stood for Pain Trooper Corps, and then I would put a number on the other foot. And the PTC number 1 is my childhood biker scout, and I partly did that because I want to always know which one it is, because that is by far my favorite toy playing growing up. That was always the best. But as we all know, I have a thing against that stupid speeder bike that broke apart and I lost in like 3 minutes. Awesome. So if anybody out there has go for it.
No. I'm sorry. I was just saying, like recently, I said I don't really go out and hunt in the wild per se, as people say. But actually, just this past weekend, there was a guy who was very local, found him on Craigslist, had this great small collection. It was local. It was a great price. He had a speeder bike with box, and of course, it's missing those damn flaps on the back. So I was like, but. Oh, well, if I find mine in the attic, I bet you it'll be missing, one of the three. It's probably missing the saddle. I agree with you. It was probably my favorite little, vehicle, but definitely not not the highest quality vehicle.
Well, I would say that, for all of our fans and people especially who enjoy the Instantgram account, if you have a double telescoping Obi-Wan Kenobi, you should sell it to Anthony for a very low price. And if you live in his parents' attic, if you could find his childhood biker scout, I'd really appreciate that. If you were a vintage Star Wars memorabilia item, which one would you be?
Yeah, so this one I'm not going to change. We're going to stick with it. And it's, I'm going to say, it just happens to be one of my focuses. I'm going to say Ben Kenobi, and I think I have a pretty good reason. I mean, it's only recently have I really become part of I would like to think I became part of the collecting community. I've only been on Facebook for maybe 6 months max, mainly because of you, Skye. Like you saying, I got on Facebook and I've met people and I've been able to, get items I've been looking for. So I was like, maybe I should join Facebook.
Oh, sweet irony.
So I really
had no sweet irony. I'm the one sending people to Facebook.
Isn't that something?
The Vintage Rebellion gets us listeners, and I send people to Facebook. What's going on here?
I've been on Instagram for years now, but there isn't a lot of it's really just sort of posting your stuff and discussing. There's no transactions on Instagram per se, especially for vintage stuff. So I've kind of been collecting in isolation on my own, Craigslist, eBay for the longest time. Only recently have I met any local collectors, in my area. So people who come to my house, like my family and my friends, they come down, they come to my basement and they see all these carded figures and these displays, and they're like, "You're a crazy old man." So I feel like, it's like Uncle Owen being like, that crazy old man, that crazy old hermit, he's crazy. So I feel like, I guess I'm Ben Kenobi. But that's the best answer I can come up with.
Awesome. Crazy old man. That's great. So thank you for taking the initiative and for spreading us further into the 21st century. And we'll be at Kivecast with Grammy Daddy organizing the show.
Skye here. As we listen to the beautiful beats by the RZA, I just wanted to say a personal apology to Anthony, because he's probably been the biggest victim of this whole technological apocalypse. This was supposed to be released, interview with him was supposed to be released in the summer, like in July or something, and somehow it got pushed back, and it's going to be in November. So anyway, you know how you can make it better? Go on Instantgram and sign up at Kivecast. And send Anthony, send our email a thing, send our account a thing, and say something stupid, and that way he'll know you were sent from me. Okay, thank you, Grammy Daddy. You're our only hope. Right? Wait, because you're Obi-Wan Kenobi. Right! Oh my God, it works. I'm improvising it, but it works. Okay, I'm not that proud of myself. Let's get back to the show.
All right, so with this crazy, kooky, out of order thing where we started off with an interview, let's keep this magical, not cursed episode 86. Episode 86, Steve, is a blessed episode.
Yes.
This is the nature of the show. is this beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about the Nugget, Steve. What is the Nugget from the
Do 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 do. 'Tis a nugget from the archive. Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
of Wooof?
All right, so what we've got is an item that we've talked about before, just in general, which is painted hard copies. But what makes this one kind of fun is that it on his foot for this Klaatu hardcopy, it's painted hard copy. There is the name Wooof written on it. So it's just this kind of funny thing where the Kenner production process is taking a cue from the Lucasfilm production process in a just kind of funny way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I wonder if that's because these figures are not that easy to identify. I mean, can't think of other hard copies where the character's name is written on them.
Yeah, and no examples come to mind for me. And I don't know, you see the Kenner product memo that has this list and it has him on there.
Right. So
Yeah.
in this, if you follow the Nugget, if you go to the Star Wars Collector's Archive and look up the Klaatu painted hard copy, there's a picture of the hard copy, and it's a very beautiful thing. And then there's the writing of the Wooof, much like the Pain Trooper Corps #1 written on the bottom of my Scout Trooper.
Yes.
It is really cool. And Steve, it's not Woof, it's Woof.
Woof.
Right?
Sorry. Woof.
Right. Woof, because it's three.
Yeah.
Can I get a woof, cuz? Okay. Woof. There it was. So there's, in this great article, there's 3 different items that speak to the nature of Woof,
Right.
and how the character was called that. So the first one is a Kenner memo, and this is a Kenner memo that was put up, I think, by Christopher Lilius, and it has a lot of other interesting sort of notes on there as well.
Yeah.
It's got Hermie Odal on there. Yak Faith is just one word.
A rebel
It's a
dignitary.
really funny note. Oh yes, a rebel dignitary. I hadn't seen that. A rocket rider. I assume that is the aforementioned biker scout.
Yeah, I figured we'll bring that up again. But yeah, it's interesting too because it's got 3 columns. It's got the list of characters, and then it has their actual character height. So Wooof is 6 feet tall, which translates to a sculpted height of 4.015 inches for the original sculpt, which then, as the actual process goes through, they shrink a little bit, so the production toy height is marked here as 3.900 inches. So it's just kind of funny to see it translated that way.
Right, yeah, it's a really interesting idea that the heights, so Lucasfilm sends them the height, and then they have to figure out how to sculpt it, and they know that through the production process, which I hope if you've listened to 86 episodes of the show, you understand why they're smaller than when they're actually finally made from the sculpting and then the molds and the hard copies and all that stuff. It's really fun to see that. And the cool thing is we get to figure out, Steve, who's taller, Chief Sherpa or Logray.
Yeah.
The answer is, of course, Logray. But yeah, they have lots of great. What I love is the fact that they say the height of reuse is yet to be determined by Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
It's like, that was somebody's bad day at work, right? It's like, oh, honey, let me tell you, I had to figure out the height of this. I don't know. He's this 3-eye guys, and they're not giving me his height. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to put on the sheet. Well, honey, just put that the height has not been determined. You can't say the height's not been determined. Okay. So that's been Imaginary Kenner Sculptor Theater.
Yeah.
In addition to that, also on the archive is a really cool, it's like a shipping case of Klaatu figures.
Yes.
But that's cool because it just says Woof, W-O-O-F, with Klaatu in parentheses.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that was going to be his name as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in a similar way, Klaatu is parentheses with Woof in a Canadian catalog.
Yeah.
Mentioned Scott Bradley would get to us very quickly.
Yes, and it's funny. I don't know if you caught this on that one. it looks like the Klaatu name is registered, but Wooof is not. It's just kind of funny.
Ooh, we could register the trademark of Wooof.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our Nugget, right? I mean, I like the kind of tie-in to the history of the character too, because yeah, I mean, he's not all that exciting, but at least there's some little bit of trivia.
Yes, yeah, I like it. I mean, well, no, Steve, this is why you're great, Steve. Okay, because you sent this nugget, and I looked at it and I went, "Oh, great, another hard copy nugget."
Yep.
Oh my God, who the hell cares? But then we're able to like shift it into this whole further discussion of Wooof, which is the only interesting thing about Klaatu.
Yes.
And then this general discussion about there being a real correlation between character height and figure height.
Yeah.
And then the difference, the fact that they were so cognizant of the difference between the sculpted figure and the production figure. So
yeah.
It manages to really become something really interesting, despite the fact that it seemed like it was not going to be. So,
yes,
that's
my that is exactly what I have written above my computer whenever I looked for a nugget. All that.
Yes.
Those are my check boxes.
Now the thing that's driving me crazy is that the sculpted height, the production toy height, isn't always the same.
The same math.
It's usually about a tenth of an inch.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less.
Yeah.
That's enough to drive you mad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Steve, with every nugget, there's always an unloved.
You can't hate, only an unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. The unloved and the unnatural. It's the unloved item of the month.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so with Unloved, I tend to always gravitate towards a certain licensee. I don't know if you noticed this, but I guess when you're starting to get down the line, it becomes tough to find much. And that's Sigma, which I truly do love. It is not unloved at all in my collecting world, but I just find them really, really bizarre. So
it's the what is this? Is this one of those weird little like sculptures?
Yeah,
or a
so
figurine?
it's a figurine of a character named Klaatu, but what's odd about this, and it's like it always is. I never pay that close attention until I'm really, really looking at something for the show. This Klaatu is yet a different incarnation of a Klaatu than the Klaatu Skiff figure or this original Klaatu figure. So this is a different guy altogether.
Yeah, this one has two bandolier straps.
Yeah.
And he has a gun.
Yeah.
Not a vibro axe.
No.
He appears to be wearing a fanny pack on his stomach.
I was gonna say it looks like it's like a little lunch pail. Like if he was going to work at Jabba's palace, that's where his lunch would be. And for some reason he's just wearing it on his belly.
And Steve, those aren't pants.
No. Wait a minute. What is going on here?
He's wearing a Speedo. A Klaatu Speedo.
Oh my God.
Because that is a sizable pouch he's got going there. And then he's wearing... Okay, so if you don't have the enhanced episode, or if Steve has to edit this thing down and we don't have an enhanced episode, which is also quite possible, you're just going to have to take my word for this, okay?
Yeah.
So here we go. Skye tries to describe Speedo Klaatu. It is a figurine, meaning it has no articulation. It's the familiar Klaatu dog lizard green face with a darker green hood.
Mm-hmm.
He has cross bandolier straps, much like the Jawas. He has this little pouch on his stomach. And then he has a Speedo, which is like a darker green Speedo.
That match his knee-high boots.
Right, and then knee-high boots. I mean, this is like a a truly weird-looking character.
Skye here. I'm just editing the episode, 8 months after we recorded it. And I noticed something about Klaatu's Speedo, which is a funny thing to say. Klaatu's Speedo, it's very clear that it's intentional. If you look at the box, Klaatu is wearing actual pants, and you can tell because the area above his knee-high boots and below his waist are painted gray. So he's actually wearing gray pants on the box. Presumably there's some kind of paint sample out there. Contact us if you have it. And so in the production version, they just painted it differently and really made it so that the area above his F-me boots and below his Speedo are fleshy green. It's amazing the things we discover. You know, I'm just sitting here, and it's a couple days after Thanksgiving. I just realized that what I do is really important, and I really help the world by pointing out the relative state of undress of a background character from a science fiction movie as represented in a fairly obscure toy. I've wasted my life.
I mean, this is like a truly weird-looking character.
Yeah. Oh, see, it's funny. I was trying to figure out who exactly he was, and at one point I had read and assumed that he was the guy that kind of consoles the Rancor Keeper after his pet is dead. Like, he's that guy that kind of, pats him on the back and tells him that life is going to be okay. I think that's who this is supposed to be, but now that he's got a Speedo on, I'm not entirely sure about that.
Well, we don't know exactly who Jabba likes to watch dance.
That's
we know
true.
he likes to watch women dance, but
Yeah.
I think if he were really this like super hedonistic creature, I think he would also demand young, attractive aliens of the male genders dance for him as well. I mean, that's just simple science.
Right. Oh, yeah. So
that would be pretty fun if you actually had. Imagine if you had Han up there dancing instead. That would have been far out.
Oh man.
If you put like Han in like some kind of Magic Mike outfit. Okay.
Oh jeez. Yeah, I don't know. Something tells me Harrison Ford wouldn't be up for that. Not that the idea is necessarily the worst thing ever, but I feel like Harrison would just say no.
Yeah. We'll put that out there to you, Cavcast listeners. What do you think? Put in the comments. Do you think that Jabba also had male dancers that we just don't see in the movies? Well, all right, everybody. And if he did, definitely Speedo Klaatu, the empathy alien, would be the one, because he well, I guess he sympathizes. I don't think he actually ever lost his own.
Yeah, maybe not.
So well, that is definitely an awesome. I actually took out of the box the Emperor Sigma
Oh,
that
right.
I got recently.
So you did end up getting one of those.
Yeah, I got one of those from Christopher Riley, actually, at one of the Empire State meetups.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's really cool. And he's just like slumped over in his chair. He just really does look like an old man, just too tired to stay awake for Carson. Oh.
Yeah, so he's just as glorious in person, or even more so.
Yes, even more so. He truly is a lump.
Good. So yeah, it's kind of false to say that Sigma is unloved on this show, but I just can't resist when it matches up. So sorry.
All right.
Back recording again.
Cool, Steve. Well, this has been an exciting episode. As we always do, we will let you behind the curtain to say we've recorded everything out of order.
Yeah.
We recorded the David Mendel interview. Well, we haven't recorded it yet. We recorded the thing with Anthony before. We've recorded the intro twice. Everything is absolutely up in the air.
Yes.
We're still not quite back on solid ground. I don't quite have my computer yet. But really, as always, what is needed for this show is Steve and Skye talking about Star Wars toys, and I believe we have done that.
Yeah, I think if we've done anything, we've definitely done that. So.
Yes. How it actually all ends up, how it looks, remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I just took out my copy of Kellerman, which is what I always use to figure out which figure is next.
Yeah. So what are we up to?
Know offhand?
I don't.
Hey, you know what? Wait. We asked a question before about what figures have bandoliers.
Oh yeah, right.
So we can answer it. Okay. So here's the answer: 1, Chewbacca.
Right.
2, Jawa.
Yep.
3, Sand People.
Sand People. Ah.
4, IG-88.
Yep, you got that one.
Not quite. Well, I mean, low grade has a bag.
Yeah,
that's not a bandolier.
No,
okay.
That doesn't count.
5, Klaatu, and I believe, 6, Barada.
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
And that's it. So 6 figures have bandoliers.
That's a decent percentage.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So do you happen to know who the next figure is, Steve?
I did at one point, but I can't remember right now.
Well, he was in the original Kenner memo, the rebel dignitary. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, is that supposed to be General Medine? Anyway,
See, that's
Rebel Commander.
Okay. All right. That sounds right.
And I believe that means we need to have somebody on who I don't think we've ever actually had on officially.
Yeah. So there's I think a couple people. We'll probably have a commando roundtable. That could be in the works.
Nice. A commando roundtable. Leia Bush. Leia Bush also has a bandolier strap.
Man, another one.
Okay. All right, sounds good. In that case, wampa wampa.
Adios.
New Star Wars figures. When available in the early bird certificate package. You got Princess Leia, Darth Vader, R2-D2, and Chewbacca with the certificate